guys, we have got a huge surprise for you guys. We've been waiting for this moment for a long time. And today's the day we're gonna go pick them up. Oh, now they stop. So, we just got done picking these up at AML. Now we're gonna get them in the boat. I know you're wanting to know what they are.
We're excited.
There we go. We got 4 48-volt lithium batteries. And that brings us to the sponsor of this video.
So we're
Want to set it here?
Thank you.
Okay.
And then, are you ready to put it inside?
Yeah.
Okay. And then use that for sure.
So, we got 4 Life PO4 48-volt batteries. We're going to take them to the island, get them hooked up. I'll go into a little more detail on what they are and what they do when we get back to the island, but this is, I mean, honestly, this is going to be a game changer. From us going from golf cart 6-volt batteries to 48-volt self-contained batteries, lithium. It's a game changer. So, big shout out to POWERWIN, and we'll see you when we get to the island. All right, so we've got the batteries back here at our cabin. Here are the batteries. Now what we got to do is I got to go down and turn the solar panels off, because right now we are taking in 520 watts of power from the sun. So we'll go down there, turn that off, and then come up here and disconnect our old batteries. Now, we kept our old batteries outside because these are lead acid batteries, and when you charge and equalize them, they produce what they call off-gassing, and basically you don't want that inside your house or in an area where sparks or anything could be, because it could, you know, combust and catch on fire. But with the lithium, that's not really a risk, so they can be inside, and so that's why we're going to keep them in there with the inverter and everything else. But first, let's go down and turn the power off. There we go. The solar panels are now turned off, so we shouldn't be collecting any energy from these panels. Then we'll turn the batteries. I've got a master switch over there. We'll turn the batteries off to the inverter and everything, and we'll also go inside and turn our house off, turn all the fuse breakers off, and that way when we get everything online, nothing's gonna start drawing power right away, and we'll charge these batteries up a little bit. Here we go. So now we are collecting 0 watts from the sun. I just turned off the house. Now we'll cruise over here. Turn these batteries off. Now we've got absolutely nothing going anywhere. So should be safe to start taking stuff apart. So let's get busy. Just a few more and we'll be all done with this. All right, so we got everything taken apart on the back, relocated over here. So now we just got to assemble some stuff, make a few different settings on these on the charge controller. These are technically 51.2 instead of 48, but they run on a 48 volt system. And then we'll go into a little bit more of the specs on the batteries, but so far everything's looking good. I haven't shocked myself. All right, so because we were using 6-volt batteries on our last setup, and these are 48 volts each, on our old setup we did them in series and in parallel, and because these don't need to get more watts, they only need to get more amperage, we're only doing these in parallel. So we're going from red to red and black to black. So like I said, these are 51.2 volts, and they are 100 amp hours each with 5,120 watt hours, but they are fully compatible with 48 volt systems, and that's why we're running them with what we got here. They're grade A batteries. They're from LiFePO 4, and from what I understand is that those are really good batteries that are made for the solar system, you know, for your solar setup and everything. So unlike the lead acid batteries, these are sealed and maintenance free. On the lead acid batteries, you have to every single month, or at least for us, every single month we would equalize them, and you have to add distilled water to them. Make sure your levels are covering the cells inside there, or your distilled water is covering the cells. But with these, they're self-contained, they're maintenance free. You don't have to worry about none of that stuff. Now you also get 15,000 cycles on these batteries. So on the old batteries over there, they may last you 3 to 5 years, and these are going to last you between 10 to 15 years, if not longer. And you can, unlike those, when we would cycle those down to 80% of their charge. So on those, we would cycle them down. Once they hit 48.8 volts, it would switch off. That means if you went any lower, you were going to start to do damage to the battery. Now on these, you can cycle them down, from what I understand, as all the way to zero, but they recommend cycling them down to 60%, and then that will prolong the battery life here. But like I said, you could cycle these things down all the way, and it won't do the damage like it will on the lead acid batteries. So on these batteries, they are multifunctional, and you get solar support when you purchase these batteries. So you will, if you have any questions, you just call the number, and they'll hook you up with any information that you need from them. So I do need to go and buy some connectors to fit these terminals, because I need to shorten some of these wires. So the next time I go into town, I've got one of these. I'm going to take in there and buy a couple of connections so I can shorten these wires and make it look a little better. All right, so we got everything wired up. Now all we got to do is connect the positive to the inverter, and then we should be back in business, and we'll go down there and turn the solar power back on, turn the wind on, and turn the batteries on. And I'll start the generator up. We'll put a little charge on this. And like I said, I got to go in and make sure all my settings and my charge controller's right. And then we should be good to go. For the charge controller, I'll just read some of this stuff off. So, like I said, they're 51.2 volts with 100 amp hours. I've got 4, so that gives me 400 amp hours. Your charging voltage is going to be 58.4, and your discharge cutoff voltage is 35.0 volts. So on my lead acid batteries, my cutoff was 48.8 volts, and on these, my cutoff is going to be, on the lithiums, the cutoff is going to be 35 volts, which is pretty good. That means we can discharge them more, and it won't do any adverse effect on the batteries. Unlike on the lead acid batteries, if you mess them up, they're pretty much messed up pretty fast. So you charge this at 58.4 volts at 20 amps, and max discharge current is 100 amps. And that's pretty much it. So the dimensions on the batteries are 20.5 inches by 10.6 inches by 8.7 inches. And I don't remember how much they weigh. I think they're not light. They're probably like 60, 70 pounds, but don't quote me on that. I was just going off of feel. Oh, and so the other positive thing about these is that unlike lead acid, these aren't as susceptible to the cold weather. So with those, the lead acids, when it gets really cold, it really kind of sucks the energy out of them. And with these, that should be no problem. Anyways, we've got everything hooked up. I'm going to go down there and, I got to do my settings now that I read them off to you. Then I'm going to go down there and turn the solar panels back on. All right, well, that's it. We got everything all set up. The charge controller's all set up. The controller on the inside for the inverter's all set up. I turned the panels back on, and unfortunately, the sun has gone around the corner, so we're only picking up about 84 watts right now. But that's all right. We'll get the rest tomorrow. Anyways, I wanted to give a big thank you to POWERWIN. I'll have some information down in the description if you want to go check them out. They were gracious enough to partner up with us for the batteries, and we really appreciate all their help and support.